Welcome back to another episode of AWSP TV. I'm Scott Friedman, Associate Director here at AWSP, and we are so thankful to have Linda Drake from the State Board of Education with us today. Earlier, we did an interview with Dr. Michaela Miller at OSPI in relationship to House Bill 1599 and the implementation of that. And again, that's why we're so excited to have you with us today, Linda. Maybe we could start off today by kind of introducing yourself and what your role is with the State Board.
I'm Linda Drake. I'm the Director of Career and College Readiness, and my area of focus is graduation requirements.
Good. Not a very big area, though.
It keeps me busy.
Keeps you busy, yeah. Well, I know there might be some people that are with us today that they've heard of the State Board, but they're really not sure what the State Board really does.
Okay.
Maybe you could just help us better understand, what the mission and the purpose and some clarity around the role of the State Board of Education.
Okay. Well, the State Board of Education is a citizen board. It has broad authority over the whole K-12 system, but some very specific authorities that are been assigned to the board by the legislature. In particular, basic education, graduation requirements, and some issues around school recognition and accountability.
Okay. And I know you just recently, with your new recognition system, had celebrations across the entire state where I believe it was upwards of 200 schools that were recognized for growth or proficiency or different pieces like that, and it was really exciting to hear. Number one, the amount of schools that are being recognized for that, but when I heard about the new accountability measures and taking multiple factors into consideration, was very well. So thank you.
It was really exciting.
Yeah, it was. It was very exciting. I participated in the one in ESD 101. So. One of the things you mentioned in regards to the State Board's role was over graduation requirements and authority over that.
Right.
I know you're aware of House Bill 1599 and the changes that have come by in relationship to graduation requirements and pathways and a variety of other things. What exactly is the State Board's role in relationship to the implementation of 1599?
Okay. Well, as we say, we're policy rather than implementation. So OSPI usually has the authority over implementation. The State Board has authority over setting policy. So in regards to 1599, the State Board has specific rulemaking authority over the section in regard to the pathways to graduation. So over the next few months, the board will be working on rulemaking.
Okay, and describe the rulemaking process a little bit. I think that's probably a new term or a new word for, well, for me.
Okay.
Let alone the other people that are out there with us today, but...
Well, the legislature passed the bill, and now we go through a process to interpret the bill and create some guidance and rules for the bill. It's a multi-stage process that will last a number of months. And one thing that's very important to us is that we want to get a lot of stakeholder involvement and stakeholder input. It will probably start right away as we'll be reaching out to stakeholders. The board has a meeting in early July. All the board's meetings are public meetings, so we would encourage folks to attend if they're interested in. We have public comment. And we will probably start talking about the rules at that stage, and it'll last over several of our meetings. We meet around the state every other month.
Okay.
And we'll have some public hearings, and we'll have some public forums where people can also give input.
Give feedback and input there.
Right.
Yeah. So you mentioned in regards to the rulemaking, you want to have that input from folks.
Right.
And relationship to Section 201 of 1599 there, does the rulemaking process involve, well, what areas of 1599? Is it everything? Is it just the CTE pathways, ASVABs? What should principals expect rulemaking from the State Board of Education to kind of touch on or
Well,
be
yeah,
over?
it is a process, so we'll be, sort of filling that in as we go along. But we know already there's a lot of questions about what is a CTE sequence. So we would hope that our rules, address that, as well as, we know we'll need to set scores for the ASVAB. So those are two of the pathways that we know for sure we're going to have some rules about. But at this stage, we're just beginning, so we need to get our information, and we need to get our stakeholder feedback.
Okay.
So I'd really encourage principals to give us feedback. They could start right now if they have opinions and have looked at the bill and really want to give us some feedback. I'd encourage them to contact me.
Well, I'd be a little nervous when you say they have opinions, because
They all have opinions.
They do, yeah. And we'll get your email and a
But
way
it is meant to be an
way to contact.
inclusive process.
Yeah,
So
and you've touched on that multiple times. I mean, you really value the input that comes, especially
Very much.
from the folks that are in the field, because that's where they're going to be charged with the implementation
Right.
of, even though it's policy,
Right.
policy guides rules, rules guide the work that happens. So very, very large task. Now, does the state board have rulemaking authority over any pieces of the high school and beyond plan?
We do. Well, we have rulemaking authority over pretty much all of graduation requirements.
Okay.
So we will be writing rules around the high school and beyond plan as well.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, like I said, it's a big task that you guys have in front of you. And you touched on the pathways a little bit, and that's one of the areas that most principals right now, because the biggest fear for any high school principal is that a student walks across the stage that has not met the necessary requirements to graduate. And that's the front page of the paper test. You don't want to be on that page. And so when you think about the pathways and the rulemaking around those, that's where there's, again, a number of questions around that. Will the processes that you use generate broad information, or will it be very specific in regards to how you complete something?
Well, we hope the process to be very broad. When we write rules, we need to write them as specifically as they need to be, so that they're clear, so that folks know what the expectations are and what they need to do.
Right. Okay. Good. And as you continue to think about the process from here and moving forward, I know you mentioned that you value the input from stakeholders and other places. What do you foresee as a timeline? Because the principals on one hand are like, well, 2019, 2020 is here.
Right.
And they know there's certain things that they have to do as a requirement of 1599 just immediately.
Right.
And there's certain things that they're waiting for, like pathway, so on and so forth. So when you think about timeline, when would you anticipate the state board being done with the rulemaking process that would then allow the schools and/or school districts to begin to make systematic adjustments?
Right. Well, we very much appreciate that there is a time factor here, and that schools and principals are very eager to start planning for next year. So we know that the sooner the better. Our plan right now is to get a draft rules that people can respond to quite soon, as soon as we can, sometime this summer. Maybe as early as our next board meeting, but we know that there is some urgency and interest in the field to start looking at
my
draft
phone rings
rules.
a lot.
I think it'll be a several meeting process after that. I mean, but it will be all a public process, so folks will be able to see the direction we're considering and give feedback at all the different stages. We think that the actual adoption of the rules will take place at our November board meeting, but that's tentative at this stage too.
Right. And between now and then, that's when the expectation is to provide input on a variety of different things.
Right.
Okay. And when you ask about the input, what are the different avenues that somebody might be able to, besides attending the meetings?
Right.
Because I know they're at different spots.
Right.
You know, and if I'm a principal that's not close to a spot, how would I provide some input?
We would really accept any kind of input. I think, you know, I'm always happy to talk to principals on the phone. So they're more than I'm more than welcome to call me if they have questions about graduation requirements. As far as giving input on the rules, we can take that in any form, through email or written letters or attending a hearing and giving testimony at hearing. We have public comment at our board meetings, and we also will have public forums, usually associated with our board meetings. But for the rulemaking process, we may also schedule additional, and we for sure, as part of the process, will have formal hearings for the rulemaking.
Okay. Okay. And I know in years past, with certain things that have been of impact, like high impact like this is, that the state board has had representatives at different ESDs around the state.
Yes.
You know, holding meetings or in conjunction with another meeting that's already happening there, and a part of this agenda is addressing this or that.
Right.
Do you know if that's if that will be a part of this process?
I think it will. We'll certainly make that effort, and I know our board members are happy to talk to folks as well. There will be WASDA regional meetings that our board members usually attend, and then I'm sure my director and board members would be happy to attend, and I'd be happy to attend any AWSP meetings or principal association meetings that might be.
October 24th.
All right, I'll write that down.
Or 25th, one of those two. Yeah. Because we will certainly utilize our secondary board of principals there to try and provide some input. So thank you and we will get information there and be able to complete that stuff. You mentioned email. And so is there a specific email that folks should attach stuff to if they want to send in comments that way?
They can use our general email, the SBE at k12.wa.us.
Oh, the old wa.us K12 thing. So SBE at k12.wa.us.
Yes.
All right, SBE. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I know the work that you have moving forward is enormous, and it goes without saying that we thank you, and we thank the State Board for the work that they are doing in regards to this. And the inclusiveness of the process is important. So we're glad to hear those pieces too. As we get ready to conclude right now, are there any final thoughts or any final pieces that you'd like to add or to share that would be important for principals or school districts in general in relationship to this?
Well, I know that to follow on something that Michaela mentioned, she recommended that principals start sort of taking an inventory of, say, the CTE pathways, the pathways that are available to students. One of the things the State Board has been tasked with is also gathering information about the pathways and eventually making a recommendation about modifying pathways or additional pathways. Okay. So I would, as principals start doing that work, just be aware that we will be reaching out to principals somehow to gather information about the pathways.
Okay. Okay, and that's going to be the big, as you know, that's the big one.
Right. Well, so we will be surveying districts and principals, and they can expect to hear from us.
Good. Well, and I think it goes without saying that you can expect to hear from them too.
Okay.
And so we'll work with each other and keep each other apprised of progress and questions and thoughts around that rulemaking process that's so important. Thank you so much for your time today, Linda.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming over and sitting in with us for another edition of AWSP News. And for those of you that were watching today, again, remember, if you would like to have a voice in the process, there's a number of different ways you can do that, by attending local meetings, or attending State Board of Education meetings, or emailing the State Board at sbe@k12.wa.us. Thank you very much for joining us today. We wish you all the very best. Keep up the great work for kids.